What's up, Soul Warriors? It's me, LC, and yep, this is Winning Wednesday live with me and you, and I am so grateful to be here with you guys. I almost did an impromptu live yesterday just because I was really feeling it and feeling all of you, but it really says it goes against the ego, but it really resonates with the heart that a teacher is all wants to get like their their students, their people to a place where they don't need the teacher anymore. And so something inside of me was asking myself, did I want to jump on for ego, or was it the best thing for all of the amazing, beautiful love and soul warriors, recovery warriors out there in the world? Because sometimes, and this is what I'm learning in my own life, we have to come to understand that many times we depend on something more than we actually need it. And maybe, just maybe, this has been a great growing experience for all of us because I really needed to get back to the roots of what my message is and what it is that I want to move forward in sharing at this point in my life, at this point in my recovery, at this point in my mission. Things change over and over and over again. It's just like life. And it's all considered a miracle. Our whole lives every day are filled with miracles. And it just all goes in how we perceive our lives and how we perceive a miracle and what a miracle truly is. And I want to read you this passage before we really get started, because today we're going to talk about looking at our lives through our wounds and how to actually reframe our past to know that it is for us and not against us, and that this is our time to rise up. I want to let you know this, if you don't already. The opioid crisis is growing in even more leaps and bounds during this time of quarantine. And that really saddens me because it means that there is so many people on earth that are hurting right now. And so many of us that know what opioid addiction is truly like, you're looking for happiness. You're looking for hope. You're looking for a release from the stress of your life and the ways that you don't quite know how to handle things and move forward in them. And you're coming from a place of hopelessness. And so, as sad as that makes me, the best that I can do is use my past, use my experience, and use even the trials in my life as a miracle to give to the lives of other people. So I want to share this passage with you, and it's from chapter 1 of A Course in Miracles, and it's the meaning of miracles. And this is passage number 13. Miracles are both beginnings and endings, and so they alter the temporal order. They are always affirmations of rebirth, which seem to go back, but really go forward. They undo the past in the present, and thus release the future. Gosh, man, that means so much to me because it's really my life right now. And the way that we can move through this in a way that is miraculous is to begin to see what looks so much like an ending of normal, or an ending of the notch we've fallen into, the groove we've fallen into. Reminds me of an old record. I don't know if most of you remember records, but records, you had to put the needle in the groove to get the music. If it scratched across, it was hideous. If it had a skip in it, hideous. But when you got it in the groove, life was moving. But sometimes we get into these grooves that are just comfortable. They're not moving our lives forward. In fact, they're locking us into that present moment. And many times it's because we cannot release the past, that we're looking through life in the present moment and the future through the wounds of our past. So if you guys are ready, then I am absolutely ready. Let's get this show on the road. All right, so it's Winning Wednesday. We're talking about miracles. We're talking about life. We're talking about recovery. We're talking about love. We are talking about healing, reframing the past, and are we looking at life through our wounds? So before we get started, let me say a few good mornings. Good morning, Mary Huffman, Tim Capps, Joni Faulkner, Stacy K in the house, Alicia Lee, Janine. Good morning. I think that's all that StreamYard shows me. So if you guys are here with me, thank you. If there are other folks here that I didn't call out, I apologize, but good morning. And for everyone who will watch this video on the replay, thank you for joining Recovery Soul Food, me, LC, Hope and Recovery Network, and everything that we do. You are truly amazing. So what does it mean to look at life through our wounds? Now, we did this every day of active addiction. Now, you can give me anybody on earth that says, I don't have any trauma. I just used because it was fun and I got hooked. I'll call bullshit every single time. Maybe you just don't realize, because we don't often get in touch with our subconscious, which is so much faster at processing situations and information than our conscious mind is. So many times we do things from subconscious that we don't even consciously realize that we're doing them for. But a person who has no trauma, a person that has not gone through anything, that has no limiting beliefs, they're not running around filling their body with poisons that give them an instant escape. Who would want to escape from something that is so fun and so great? You know, I don't want to call people liars. I don't think they are lying. I think they don't realize. And, you know, here on this platform, we're about awareness. And I'm going to tell you, for all of you that show up here with me day in and day out, you are the ones that are interested in full on healing. You're interested in getting to that place of recovered, not always drudging through this recovery, you know? And it's okay. It's the old paradigm of recovery. Once an addict, always an addict. But how much hope does that fill you with? I mean, let's just be honest with each other. Why do all this if I'm only always going to be looking over my shoulder for relapse? Can I not heal the past? Can I not heal that subconscious part of me that clicks in to my wounds, that gets into the grooves of my past so that I don't repeat these things? Or do I learn from my mistakes? Do I learn how to learn from my past? Because it's the way we frame and shape this stuff that keeps us in that same old groove of wanting to escape. And I feel very empathetic for those that were fresh in recovery, right on this, you know, this quarantine, this big COVID thing. That's a lot to go through in early recovery. But it's also an amazing time to kick off your recovery journey, because yes, it will test how ready you are for change, how bad you want to change. And for everyone in this time that fell back, and I don't even like using those terms, because we say fell back, we make that sound like a failure. Guys, my 9-month relapse after 15 years clean of heroin is what saved my life. That's a reframing. That's what we're talking about in a reframing. And what I'm talking about is looking through the lens of your wounds, is falling that way or going back to that old coping skill and saying, well, it's not for me. I can't do it. See, this is just like every other time. I'll never be able to do this. And you're going all out. It's looking at life through the wounds of your past. It's all about reframing. So when we talk about the mind, guys, you got to trick it. You tricked it to think that poisoning your system, adding to your brain was going to help. We don't do anything as human beings that does not give us some type of reward. Now, we think of the word reward and we think, that's not true because it's not healthy, all this other stuff, falling down on the floor drunk and slicing my head open, that's not a reward. No, that part's not the reward, but escaping from the internal pain, that's the reward. And that's why we'll get up with a bleeding chin. You hear I'm talking from experience, right? We'll get up with a bleeding chin, and the first thing we'll ask for is a drink or a drug to stop the pain of the bleeding chin. See, there is a reward to everything that we do. And so we've got to learn how to reframe the way we speak in our mind, the way we look at things in our mind. And if we can stop and really become aware of what's really happening right now, can we become aware of ourselves, our ego self, our heart self, and can we become aware of the miracles that are already at play and in our lives? A lot of you have heard about the law of attraction. If you've heard it nowhere else, you've heard it here. And we think of the law of attraction as being about money and cars and houses and all this stuff. But you know from tuning in here that the law of attraction is always at work in your life. It's a lot of the reasons why so many of the same, what you would call negative things, keep happening over and over and over in our lives. And a lot of times when we want more abundance in our life, and abundance is not just money. I mean, you may want an abundance of healthy habits. You may want an abundance of love, because so many times we're not wanting money. We're wanting the feeling that money or drugs or people give us. You got to understand, you're not wanting that thing that your conscious mind can identify. You're wanting the feeling that goes along with it, because we are emotional beings. That's what we are. You know, we are driven by our emotions, and we have this constant fighter in our head that is our wounds that say, you don't want that. Because remember last year when that same thing hurt you? No, you don't want that. That's different. It's why everything in our life wigs out when we make a decision to change, for the better or for the worse. Come on, it was not that easy for us to drop into active addiction. We had to go through fear to get there. I mean, even if we were addicted inside of a doctor's office, you still had to make up the lie. You had to make up all of that to go into the office. You never knew if he was going to call you out. You never knew how it was going to end, but you had a mission. You made a decision. You set an intention. And you went for it. Through fear and all, you put one foot in front of the other and you went. We think everything is so easy, but it's really the way we're speaking about it. And we can start to really turn that around. And that is the biggest secret in all of this. So it's about getting ourselves unacquainted with our current definitions of miracle, recovery, failure or success. I like what JD said: fail often, fail big, and fail forward. That's so true. And that within itself is a complete reframing of, I fail all the time. I'll never get a hold of this. I'll never be able to live this life. I've done too much. When you find yourself in that place, you don't beat yourself up. You become aware. There's your secret. You become aware and you say, oh, I caught you. Oh, okay. I caught you, mind. I caught you, old belief system. I caught you, limited perception. I caught you. Now I have a moment that I can reframe you. And it's in these moments that you're doing the work. That's the work. That's the work. The work is not beating yourself up because you didn't get what you consider an A plus today, if you stopped your mind one time and recognized that that's exactly what Elsie was talking about this morning, that's exactly what we've been learning about, you won. Like, you did it. Like, success. Yay. There it is. And if you think for one moment, and I've been here, guys, y'all know my story. You know, when I started a gratitude list, I had to muster up one thing to be grateful for. If you need to recognize a miracle in your life today, and you are right in the beginning of reframing and learning to move forward with a new mindset, and you're looking for a new definition of miracle, I invite you to get still for a moment and just sit and realize how many internal things are happening in your body right now that you're not having to plan, you're not having to work for, and you're not having to impress anybody for, lie to anybody about. Your heart's beating, your liver's working, your kidneys are working, your lungs are breathing in and out. I mean, you can sit here and decide you're not going to breathe, but then you're going to breathe. So there's your miracle. And you don't have to feel it to acknowledge it. And if you need to just start right there and just spend 2 minutes, 5 minutes every day connecting with those internal miracles, because every miracle in this life starts internally. You are divine. And your purpose is already being fulfilled because you're here. And again, we all know and love people that are not here right now. And we got a sense of duty to continue on their legacies and to really invite the world to heal with us today. We are the healing revolution. We are moving through this earth in a time where people need healing, self-acceptance, awareness, and love, non-judgment more than ever. And if I got to come and remind you every time I get behind this microphone and in front of this camera that you are a part of that whole revolution, then I will, because you're here for this. The world needs you. And you got to remind yourself, whatever little town you're sitting in, whatever little accommodations you're sitting in, whatever little idea you might have about yourself, you need to remind your old story, which is what keeps you small, just how mighty you are and what a divine purpose you have in this world. Comes back down to reframing. We think a large purpose means we got to be in front of a camera, or we've got to write a best-selling book, or we've got to be on TV talking to people about this. But you've got a household of people that are surrounding you, that depend upon you, and just might be that what you change within that place changes for generations to come. It doesn't have to be in front of 1 million people. It can be for just one. And we've got to decide that that's enough. That's enough. I can't gauge my success or failure on how many likes I get, or how many friends I have on Facebook, or how many people watch videos or read my book or read my blog or any of those things. I'm finding that my experience and everything that I've gone through might end up being for one person in my family. And it makes it okay for me. It really, really does. And I never ever thought that I would feel that way. In fact, my ego would tell me, what do you mean one person? That's not going to be enough. And blah, blah, blah. All this crap. But the reality of it is when your heart really connects, you'll feel that place. You'll slip into that groove. And it'll be a groove of your making, your choosing. And we have to remind ourselves that it's about the people. And sometimes when you do this work that I do right here, it is easy to walk along that line and slip off to this side and say, oh, well, I've got to do this for the people and I got to do that and I got to make it like this and I got to do this. And I'm going to tell you something, guys, that crowded me. That pushed me out of the spotlight for a little while because I needed to reconnect with what it was that was important to me. And that's each of your lives. You know, I don't mind that there's not 1,000 or 5,000 people here. I want to make sure that with every person that shows up here, every time I come on, that you go away feeling like you have a new tool or a refresher course of a tool that's already in your toolbox, that you go away with something from this and you are able to now take this out into the world, put it into practice in your life, just like I am. You know, we're supposed to teach from scars. We're not supposed to teach from open wounds, but I don't really necessarily believe that because y'all know I've been going through a complete transition, no pun intended. But, you know, life is transition, recovery is transition, becoming authentic is transition. Mine just, you just get to see a little bit. But for every day that I begin to know myself even more is a day that on the flip side of that, I show up in the world different. I show up in my family different, just like everyone here that goes from active addiction to recovery. Sometimes you're in the midst and around people that are your family and you don't quite know who you are yet. Just remember and remind yourself that you are emerging, that you, the real you, the divine you, is emerging up past all the hurts, all the pain, and all of that old subconscious stuff that lives inside of us. And just remember, the work is becoming aware. That's the first part of it. And if you can get the first part, the second part of healing that almost starts to become natural because you start to become aware of it each time it's in play in your life. And when you do that, you automatically start flipping that around. So look at your life today and ask yourself, where are you looking at your life, your future, your recovery, your everything? Where are you looking at it from your old wounds? Because when we look at life from those wounds, from that trauma, it's like putting on different glasses. I've often given you guys this analogy, this example of what I can actually see without my glasses on and how much of life I would be missing if I walked around looking at life from this. Yes, I would miss some things that were ugly. I would miss some things that maybe I didn't like so much. I could blur some of my flaws in the mirror. But when I put my glasses on, life becomes so clear. It becomes so crystal. I not only would miss the bad things while I was all fuzzy, but I would miss some really beautiful things. And our life is about the present moment. And presently, when you're overrun by the stress of your day, the stress of your kids, the stress of COVID, the money stress, all of these things, when you're overrun by all of that stuff, just remember that this present moment is the only one there is. And take a moment to get still. Take yourself 3 good breaths and just ask yourself, in this very moment, in this second right now, I'm okay. Am I okay? What's really happening right now? And sit in that for a minute. Don't think you're going to get to live there, but it's not about living there. It's about being able to take control and go there when you need to. I'm going to leave you with this last example. If you breathe out all the way, you can only give so much. You can't keep giving breath when you're out of breath. Now, if you breathe in, you can only breathe in so much. And until you give some of that breath out, you can't breathe in anymore. Realize that you can't just give in your life and never take a breath. And you can't just always take from life and never give it back. Your breath is natural, and it's a really great indicator of how we should live life as well. That we have to give and receive. And that's the way that the miracle of life goes. And that we are okay in our present moment. And we can take control. And we can reframe our past. We can reframe our addiction to remind us how far we've come. We can use our past to reframe our hopes and dreams and goals for the future. And that if we can back ourselves up from looking at every situation through our trauma and become so self-aware to know that we are co-creators in this life and that we can create our experience. That's hope, man. That's hope. And the world needs hope. The world needs you, all of you, whether you've been in recovery for 30 minutes, 30 days, or 30 years, you have something to give. So give it freely. You don't have to live that life from the past. And how many things will you run into if you walk around all day with your head turned around this way, looking at nothing but the past and trying to use the past to define your future? There's no hope in that. So create a new future. You do have that kind of control. And becoming aware is step one in the work. I love you guys. So let me say hey to some folks that showed up. I saw Jimmy C in the house and Lori Waters. Good morning, Jimmy. I saw Stacy Hatton. Oh, Livy's here. Awesome. Awesome. Holly Mae, good morning. And Claire Law is here. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, if there's anyone else that's here and I didn't call you out, then StreamYard just shows me a few. And I want to thank you all for being here so much. And if you feel led, then share the video out. If you're on YouTube, then subscribe. We're at 99. We need 100. Thank you guys so much. Oh, hey, Vonnie, I love you. Thank you guys so much for helping me grow that platform. It's small, but never curse the days of small beginnings. I love doing stuff over there, and I'll be doing more things. I'm really trying to get it together, y'all. It's taken a while. Change, miracles are rebirths. They are endings and beginnings. I'm going to leave you with the same thing that I started with for those that showed up late. So this is from chapter 1 of A Course in Miracles, the meaning of miracles. And it says, miracles are both beginnings and endings. And so they alter the temporal order. They are always affirmations of rebirth, which seem to go back, but really go forward. They undo the past in the present and thus release the future. Man, gosh, I love that. So thank you guys, man, so much for being here. Thank you all for being so patient with me. God willing, I will see you guys next Wednesday morning, the same time, same place. And you know what? If not, I might see you before, I might see you after. Who knows? I'm learning to love change. Change is exciting. It is not bad. It is exciting. So lean into change today. Lean into love today and be your awesome, beautiful, amazing self. And know that I absolutely adore you. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.